Hi everyone, Adrian Groenewald, Global Leadership Platform. And of course, this is our Global Leadership Conversation 1 project or campaign. We're going all across the world speaking to experts to try and address the global leadership crisis that we find ourselves in. We all agree that there's a crisis. There are pockets of excellence, but we know we've got to do something. And we're asking two very simple questions of experts, literally in all the corners of the world. And it's a very exciting project. Today with me is Logan Gregory, from all the way from Maryland in the USA. He is from Next Level Consulting Services and also a developer of the Teamwork Triad. So it's wonderful to have you with us, Logan. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
All right, so our two questions as our first conversation. In due course, it'll of course be Global Leadership Conversation 2, and all these conversations will go onto the Global Leadership Platform, from where we will continue the conversation. Logan, the simple question, simple but difficult, I think, is what is the most important quality or attribute we need to develop or awaken or improve in leaders if we are going to turn around this global leadership crisis?
Right. So you're exactly right. Number one, it sounds simple, but it's definitely not easy. I think for me, the one thing I've found that I think touches all different types of attributes that people have is balance. If you don't have balance, either in your life, in your leadership skills, how you apply your leadership, you're gonna end up maybe with a little bit of failure. You can overdo certain things, you can underdo certain things, and it's difficult to find that balance where everything kind of matches up in your conversations, in your managing expectations, managing processes, leading people. All those things require a certain amount of balance.
Okay, so that's an interesting one. Are you saying your balance in everything? I'm assuming that I would have to be a very balanced individual before that could happen. I mean, I can't just be balanced in every aspect of my life as a leader, but I, as a human being, I'm not balanced. Whatever balance means for different people, I would guess.
Right, that's exactly right. Because what may be balanced for you may not be balanced for someone else. So you have to constantly adjust. I think of it in terms more of even stability. So take, for example, if you rely on your intuition more than you rely on facts, you could find yourself in a bit of a sticky situation if you're ignoring the facts and just using your intuition. So it's more about a constant evaluation. It plays into a certain amount of emotional intelligence, self-awareness, situational awareness, being able to read situations. So that's what I mean by balance.
Okay, yeah, that's a big one, and I look forward to chewing on that one a little bit, stewing it, because how difficult in today's world when you have so much information and different viewpoints and different elements competing. How do you find that balance? For example, balance between instinct and fact, or instinct and experience, or and we can go through so many aspects of leadership and try and understand where would the balance be. But I guess if you have that theory in your mind and it's part of your makeup as a leader, then every situation you confront. So here's a difficult employee, everyone's complaining about her or him. And you go, okay, well, this is what people are saying about her, very negative. I need to balance this. There must be some positive about this person before I make a call or before I make a decision. So in the simplest of situations, I can imagine if your standpoint from which you judge situations is one of trying to find balance, then you would always look at things differently. I don't know if I'm getting right what you're saying.
No, I think you're right on it. That's exactly right. It's a frame of mind, where you get into a situation, or you're brought into a situation maybe it's conflict resolution, and like you mentioned, and you're trying to look at it from many different angles. The balance may not be right in the center. It may be left, right, up, down. The balance is going to change depending on the situation. I kind of, one thing I draw a kind of inference to is, I don't know if you've ever been to a gym and they have those round balance boards that you stand on. It's kind of like a half moon bottom on it, and you stand on it and you try to keep your balance. So eventually, you'll find balance and you'll get stability, but then somebody starts throwing medicine balls at you. And then you got to, continue to find that balance. So it's just a constant awareness situation.
Okay. For those of you listening, just so that you know that Logan's camera gave in, so we're just doing the voice thing all the way from Maryland. But now the very difficult question, Logan, if you're going out there and teaching leaders, a lot of skills, no doubt, but certainly that of balance. The question is, how do you best develop, awaken, or improve this quality or attribute in leaders? So you're taking them on programs. You're taking them on a journey, maybe coaching journey, maybe different modules, leadership modules. How do you actually teach me to adopt this principle?
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to teach. It's more about practice. You can lay out some things to try, but again, it's more about learning how to detach and getting somewhat detached from removing yourself from the situation, being too close to it, so that you can see it from a broader perspective. So one way is to, let's say you get a situation described to you, and you're going to engage in that situation. One thing you might want to do is, instead of immediately jumping in, take a moment, write a few things down, and really think about something that is counterintuitive to what you would normally think. Something that, this isn't my usual path that I would take this down. So what would be something that's completely different? And just jot down those different perspectives and have some notes. And then as you're involved in the situation and you're evaluating and you're thinking about how you want to handle this, use those different perspectives to your advantage and try to come up with some different solutions. Like when you're coaching, you're not necessarily telling people what to do. You're more giving them things to think about and to come up with, their own solutions. So that's kind of where I come at balance.
Okay. And I can imagine the more emotional you are, emotionally involved in a situation, maybe a family situation, children, the more difficult it is to find that balance, to detach yourself, for example, or, but that's part of the burden that we carry as leaders. If you're building your own business as opposed to just being a professional employee, you sometimes feel more attached to it, which means it can become difficult to make balanced decisions and judgment calls.
Exactly.
Logan, thank you so much. That's a very interesting angle. Thank you for putting your voice out there for this Global Leadership Conversation 1, first of many. Logan Gregory, Next Level Consulting Services from Maryland, USA. And before he goes, we're going to ask him to mention something interesting about not his country, that's the USA, but Maryland. Why should someone go and visit there? Should they ever travel there to the US? And we do this more and more so that people can realize we're geographically reaching all corners of the world with this Global Leadership Conversation 1 project. So Logan, tell us something interesting.
Well, one of the great things about Maryland is its diversity, and we have some really great places to visit. So for example, near where I live in Annapolis, we have the United States Naval Academy, which is always an interesting place to visit and take a look at. We also have a huge sailing population here. So if you're into sailing, it's probably one of the best places to visit, at least in my area. And then not too far from here is Washington, D.C. You can see all of our, fabulous monuments and museums, the Smithsonian Institute. It's just a lot of great things to see here. Great outdoor activities. The climate is fairly moderate. It's pretty hot right now and humid, but fairly mild in the wintertime and not too bad for the most part in the summertime. But just a great place to be.
It sounds like it. I mean, I've been to Washington, D.C. a few times, and they're close to the White House, twice at least. A lovely place to visit. Lots of interesting places, as you say. But thank you for joining us all the way from Maryland, and we look forward to engaging you with our future conversations. Logan Gregory, thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me.